Do you think I can put the whole microphone in my mouth?
Right now? Go ahead. Do it. Just stick it in there.
I don't want to. Oh, this feels so strange because you're like watching me like, and I'm like doing it like, oh, I can already feel the tears coming out. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. I didn't even put it like in my mouth, and I'm already crying.
Your head is so big, your mouth can open wider than that. Come on. Don't
like,
be a wuss.
I feel like that's not the first time you said that.
Actually, believe it or not. Boo, 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 boo. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Brightside with Mikey and Rachel. I'm Rachel.
I'm Rachel.
And this is the podcast where we talk about Lindy Hop, our opinions, and basically whatever else you want us to talk about.
Or whatever we feel like talking about this day or this
like
hour or this minute. I feel like talking about why Rachel hates Billie Holiday.
I don't. I never said that.
No, but you know what's funny, though?
I love him.
Yeah, Rachel. Can you tell us more about your knowledge of Billie Holiday?
So great. Okay, so you guys remember in that scene in Clueless where Cher goes on the date with Christian. He's like the gay guy, but she doesn't realize he's gay yet. She thinks she's going on a date with him.
Careful, it was the 90s. They weren't considered gay yet.
Well, that's the... And anyway, they climb into his classic car, and he turns it on. He goes, "Do you like Billie Holiday?" And she turns the mirror to herself to check her hair, and she goes, "I love him." And then he like rolls his eyes, and they zoom away. It's the most understated joke, but it's so good.
It's so true, and you almost claimed it for your own until you told me that story, and I was like, "Oh God!"
I wouldn't claim it for my own. No. That movie is so funny, though.
It is. No, it really is. You're totally right, because there is little moments where in that movie where I'm like, oh, yeah, and they do say that. Oh, yeah,
there's like a lot of understated jokes that are really funny.
Yeah. The good old days. The good old days before, like, Instagram. I think Cher would be basically a Kardashian if she was real and alive today.
Oh, totally.
Right?
How are you?
But I mean, I'm fine. Full disclosure, we're recording this like 2 hours after we just recorded another one.
Oh.
Yeah,
why would you say that?
Because we're telling truths and being honest.
Over here.
All about secrets. Oh no.
Oh no.
It's just
secrets.
It's just things we say between me and you, your cats, and the 5 other people who listen to this show.
The old 6 listeners.
Oh, it came 6. You always do one more than me. I always say like something.
I always say 6.
Yeah. No, you always say 6, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't listen to the show. So
whatever.
Whatever. No, actually, like I'll say this out loud just as we're intro. I do listen to the whole show afterwards, and I do find myself laughing at the things we say. Mostly laughing at the things you say to me. Because it makes my shit crack up so hard.
I was listening to the last one to 14? 15. I was listening to 15 to like quality check it. And I was like, I don't know. I think I was at work or I was like walking around someplace. And I don't remember what we said, but I just burst out laughing like around people. And I was just like walking down the street. And then I was like, bah! And I must have looked like a crazy person.
That is not your burst out laughing. Your burst out laughing is more like this. You have a very distinct laugh, but also it's a very good laugh. It's a very, very good laugh.
You know what's funny is my brother has the same laugh as me.
Oh no.
But it's like the same high giggly laugh. So when we're it doesn't like he has a very low voice but a very high laugh. Mm-hmm. I don't know where my voice lies on the spectrum because it always sounds different in my head than in real life.
It's medium. It's not. It's
medium.
It's high but not low.
It's
low but not high.
A solid medium.
It's a solid madame.
Extraordinarily average.
I will have a grande. It's a grande.
I will have a grande ordinary, please.
Ordinary grande, please.
Ordinary grande.
Now I want Starbucks.
Starbucks.
You know what I did the other day? You know what I did? I didn't say this before, but I totally maybe I said it before. I was in Spain, and I went.
Aren't you in Spain right now?
Yeah, and yes, that's exactly.
And you're still in Spain.
And I'm still in Spain right now. Wait. Yes, still in Spain. And
you were in Spain and you're still in Spain?
Nailed it. And I went to a Starbucks because I'm a filthy American. And
Disgusting.
I got their like toffee latte. Oh my God, it was so tasty. I am only saying this because it tastes good. Also, I want to bug you a little bit because you like real coffee and I like the sweet shit that they call coffee.
That's so cute. You know what I had this morning?
Did you have something black and liquidy?
I brewed myself a cup of yellow Pacamara.
What does that mean?
Which is 2 mutations. Pacamara is a hybrid of the Paca and the Mara coffees. Therefore, they become a Pacamara coffee. And you know a Pacamara coffee because it has extraordinarily large beans. They look like bugs. They're super big. Usually a coffee bean is like, I don't know, like yay big. No one else can see me except for Mikey. But like yay big. And then a Pacamara is like this big. It's like an inch tall. It's big.
To everybody who was listening, she was doing that with her fingertips.
With my fingertips.
She was showing me. And then her fingers grew just a little bit more, up to about an inch.
It's true. And then the yellow part is usually the coffee cherry. When it's ripe, it turns red like a cherry. But this particular mutation, when the cherries are ripe, they turn yellow.
You know the best part about all this?
Is that you have no idea what I'm talking about?
No, I'm Colombian. I have full idea. I know exactly what you're talking about. We invented the coffee bean.
Are you too stupid for this?
No, it's just how serious you got. Like you got legit. Wow. You went from like Okay, so I got this coffee bean, and it's a mutation from a mutation.
Let me pull up.
And it's so technically I was drinking a liquid mutant, and I
put 23 grams of coffee into the portafilter.
Drugs. You are addicted to drugs. Drugs.
Drugs. It was delicious. Tasted like limoncello. Or whatever. It's fine. It was delicious.
It's fine.
But
it's
you
fine.
go on with your caramel latte.
No, it's fine.
No,
it's fine.
You keep talking about your corn syrup latte.
I mean, first off,
it was so good.
It was a toffee nut coffee latte.
Toffee nut.
Yeah.
Was it nutty?
I don't know. It was toffee.
Nutty.
It was toffee.
Nutty.
Even his name, it wasn't even calling itself a coffee. It was a toffee.
Okay, well, other than the Starbucks, what else is new with you? What else is new? What's new?
Nothing is new with me. We took a little bit of break, and it was really funny because you were eating cereal, and I was eating chips and hummus, and it was hilarious because I said, we should be recording this right now, and then just play it on the first, 5 minutes of the next episode, and then we don't even acknowledge it, and we would just bust into, hey, everybody, it's the Brightside with Mikey and Rachel. That would have been comedy gold.
Funny.
Gold.
Gold. So after our last podcast, we stopped. We're recording 2 in a row today, and we took a break, and I was like, BRB, gotta hit up the bathroom, and then I came back with a bowl of cereal, and Mikey was like, oh, if you're gonna have a snack, I'm also gonna have a snack. So he goes, and he grabs chips and hummus, the hummus, the crinkly, cronkly chips, and
this is what I ate.
We sat in silence for 15 minutes, just crunching away. I could hear him crunching his chips, and he could hear me crunching my Cheerios.
And I could hear the spoon hitting the bowl. That was the funny part.
The spoon hitting the bowl. And, my cat was sitting here waiting patiently for me to finish eating so that she could lick up the dregs of the milk from the bowl.
It was comedy gold. Comedy gold.
Gold.
So I feel like
but I think it would have been funnier though if it was a TV show where you could see us eating and not saying anything. That's the funny part.
Yeah. I mean, but we weren't doing anything really funny.
The tension
So
of not
I feel
doing
like
anything.
I still feel like the audio itself would have just had it would have been a Family Guy moment where it's this is weird. Okay, it's kind of funny. Okay, now it's weird again. Okay, now it's funny again. 5 minutes of us eating. 5 minutes.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. But I feel like some people would be like, okay, this is stupid. I'm done with this. Goodbye. And they wouldn't listen to the rest of it. They'd be like,
perfect.
Is this a mistake? This is gold. This
gold.
is
Gold. Fucking
gold.
Comedy gold. Like,
Comedy gold.
here's the thing. I for some reason, have you ever heard of Tim and Eric, the comedians?
No.
Tim and Eric, awesome show.
No, I don't listen to men.
That might explain to why you're so out of control. So,
Oh!
fucking sick
Just
burn.
stabbing it right where it hurts in the heart. Just took a
Gee.
shank to the heart like it hurts so much.
I mean, I only tell truths. No secrets here.
Pain.
But no, Tim and Eric are like these like old comedy guys. They just do weird shit like over and over and over again, and like it's like that. It's very, very strange. But like the people I watch from and listen to podcasts from like SourceFed and all this stuff on YouTube and podcasts, they like kind of do it in like a different way, and I like their way of doing it. And I just feel like they would have done that. They would have been like 5 minutes of them just eating in complete silence, and then just started the podcast. Like I was like.
Hey, everybody.
That's so good. So if
We're
you listen,
eating a snack.
if you listen to the last podcast, God bless your soul, why? But if you did listen to it, but why? If you did listen to it, we ended it with a question that we liked so much that we wanted to revisit
We're
it.
bringing it back around again.
So Rachel,
Don't turn around, cause you're gonna see my heart breaking. Yeah,
don't
yeah,
turn
boo.
around.
I don't want to see me cry. Just walk away. So you're feeling I'm letting you go. Oh, but I won't let you know. Mic drop.
That was great. That was great. Was that Ace of Base?
Thank you.
Was that Ace of Base?
That was Ace of Base.
Yes.
Ace of
Okay.
Base.
Yeah. They were
Basin that acin'.
the most underrated band of all time.
When I was a kid, my friends and I choreographed dance routines to their songs.
When I was a kid, I heard the what was the other hit song they had about a baby?
I saw the sign. Oh,
Yeah.
all she wants is another baby.
Yeah, all she wants
No,
is another baby.
that's Don't Turn Around.
Oh, is it really? Oh yeah.
She's gone tomorrow,
You're
but all that she wants
is another
is
baby.
another baby. She's
Hey.
gone tomorrow.
No,
Oh,
and it goes,
yeah.
and it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then Don't Turn Around's another one.
Yeah. So the baby one.
Do do
The,
do 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 do. Wom, 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 wom. She leads a lonely life.
this is good. This is perfect because like this is like reliving my childhood in my dad's car, like listening to that fucking like 4-song CD over and
my
over
God.
and over again. But it's the baby song. All she wants is another baby.
Yeah.
I really thought my little kid brain was like, she wants another baby. Like, just give her another baby. Like, can you just call
That's
the?
what I thought too.
Can you guys just do the hugging
was
thing?
like,
Do the hugging thing,
do
and
a-
then
do
she
the hug
Do
thing?
the hug thing, and she'll have another baby. Like just before she leaves, another baby.
Oh,
Because she's
that's
gone
so
tomorrow.
Funny.
Because
she's
like,
gone tomorrow.
that's all
I
don't
she
know,
wants.
all she wants. I don't know if you know this. All she wants
That's all she wants.
is
another baby.
just. She's not saying multiple. Just one.
I'm reading between the lines here. I'm reading between the lines, but I feel like all that she wants is another baby.
I mean, it's like I was
yeah.
thinking the same thing. I was reading between the lines, So I was like, she just wanted the one baby. Actually, if you really read between the second line, it's like a baby head, and that's it. So yeah, so she just wants a baby head.
Gross.
Anyways.
So we're continuing the question into a topic.
We got it from that crazy, creepy mother trucker, father of an amazingly beautiful baby boy, David Lee.
So I'll read the question again. Just to refresh y'all's memory.
By y'all, she means me.
Yeah. He says, last episode, you mentioned homogeneous dancing, but also some variety as styles from Savoy dancers, West Coast dancers, and boogie woogie are all thrown into the mix. Can you speak to whether you see regional accents still in Lindy? If so, can you describe the difference? When was there a time you saw a good amount of difference and what can be done to encourage it? So we started talking about like
The regional part, especially for me.
Yeah, and why we thought it was homogenized, and we brought up YouTube And what was the other thing we read up? I totally forget.
That we travel more to dance events. There's a lot
Oh,
more
right,
like
right. That we
ability to
travel
see
more.
other dancers. Yeah.
We see more with our eyeballs.
And I think in the sense of the regional sense, I said this before as well, but I'm going to kind of elaborate. The places that I've gone to teach, I've been very lucky enough to like travel to like North America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. And I got to see like, I don't see that much of a difference in the dance itself. I see the differences in some of the ways that teachers approach the dance, as in like how they teach it to beginners.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, which either way, it doesn't matter as long as people are learning how to dance. I don't give a shit how they teach it. But the thing I see the most is that the way people learn is a slightly different, and sometimes it weighs more on one side or another, or depending on their culture. As in like,
what do you mean by that?
As in like.
Can't
As in like sometimes,
expand?
yeah, it's like sometimes like people in Europe really like, because there's such a mixture of languages, like they don't like to hear the explanation a lot. They like to see it a lot more. Americans, I feel like they need a really good description. If they get a shitty description, they're not going to get it. Like they need to be really clear, crystal clear and straightforward. And Australians just really, really want to like try it. Like I just feel like some stuff like that. Just for instance, and that's not to say the whole fucking continent feels like that. It's just like that's the majority I kind of see a lot of the times. And
What
it makes
do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know. Like I feel like maybe it's the I have a sort of a theory. Maybe it kind of fits to this. Is like most of the dancers in nowadays in Lindy Hop feel really comfortable in classes. That's where I feel like our community is going towards. It goes towards learning atmospheres, learning in classes, learning in workshops, learning in this, learn, which is not a horrible thing. I think it's totally fine. But the thing is that like the only thing we have to go off of from a learning experience is what we learn like in everyday, or not everyday school, but like our normal grade schools and high schools and stuff. And we forget. I feel like a lot of people end up spoon feeding knowledge to students, and they get so used to that, as opposed to like approaching it. And not to say this is the only way, but this is the way I feel about it. Approaching it in kind of like a university, college level way of doing it, where it's like you're just presented with a whole bunch of information, and then it's up to you what you hold on to and how you reinforce that knowledge and keep that. Does that make sense?
Oh, that was the end. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought you were gonna say something else, so I was like waiting, but then you stopped moving, and I was like, "Is he done?"
I was done and done.
And scene.
Yeah, but I mean, like, do you see? I mean, you've taught in Albuquerque and LA, for instance, like local
scenes.
Do you feel like there's a big difference
Between the way people learn?
Yeah, and the way that people dance.
I mean, the way people dance, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean,
Do you feel like that maybe is due to like level or experience, as I like to say a little bit better instead of level? I'm trying to change that verbiage in my head.
I think it has more to do with culture.
Really?
Than anything else. Yeah, because like LA is a very old scene. There's a lot of people here who have been dancing a really long time, but who haven't necessarily improved that entire time. And so they dance like they've been dancing since 1998 or 2001 or whatever. Whereas most of the dancers in Albuquerque, with the exception of maybe one or two dancers, are all very new. So they don't have those like old traditions or old stylings that a lot of the LA dancers have. So their dancing is a lot more like on the homogeneous mainstream. The other thing is that LA is a very heavy Balboa scene. And so when a faster song comes on, no one's dancing Lindy Hop fast or doing Charleston. They're all doing Balboa.
Mm-hmm.
In Albuquerque, at least when I was there, everyone would just do Lindy Hop fast or do Charleston.
But I feel like right here you're explaining two different experience levels. Like you're talking about the LA dancers as the ones that have been doing it longer, and you're talking about the Albuquerque ones that have been doing it less time. So like it's already disproportional right there. I feel like. So it's like let's keep it on more of a ground level, like the more or less experienced dancers. Let's compare them mostly because they're the majority.
I think, I think that it's harder to say since I've been here for a few years now, and I haven't really gotten to experience the local scene in Albuquerque recently.
Right. Of course, just based off of what you remember from Albuquerque.
Man, I don't know.
Just think of it in the sense of like your like group classes.
I think there was more sense of community in Albuquerque. It was easier for people to return because it was a group of people that was welcoming, and it was more like a book club.
Right.
You know? Mm-hmm. Like you get to know everybody and everyone becomes friends in that class. Whereas like the classes at Lindy Groove that I teach, there are some regulars who come every single week to those classes, but there's a lot of people who are just kind of dabbling and don't really recognize anybody else. And even in a small class, there's going to be like 40 or 50 people. Mm-hmm. And so there's just less of an opportunity to really get to know each other, I guess. I think there is something to say about knowing everybody in your scene because there's a level of comfort that you have when you're dancing together as opposed to dancing with strangers all the time.
Right. I think at some point, like it's really good. The scenes that I've seen that are very small for someone to pop up and be like, okay, they're obviously understanding this dance a lot better. And then at some point they feel stunted and they feel like they have to move to a bigger scene where they can learn more or like experience more, I guess. Again.
Yeah.
Experience being the key word there. That is so much more prevalent because nowadays that people can just like pick up and like move to a different town. And I feel like that wasn't the case back then. Like in the early 2000s, like I feel like people weren't just moving around. They were just kind of like staying in their own scenes, and really big scenes started to pop up like in Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Houston, for the most part, kind of DC area.
Oh yeah, DC. I think there was less incentive to move for Lindy Hop as there is now.
Yeah.
Like, now people have a lot of teaching opportunities and performance opportunities, and people are starting to pave ways to build careers out of Lindy Hop, or at least like use it as a more serious hobby.
Right.
Whereas back then it was still new and fresh, and people.
So maybe then you're totally right. So maybe then we depended on regional cultures in as a sense of like geography, and now since we've evolved so much further and there's so much more people, we've evolved past that to create our own culture, our own kind of subculture, you know, where it doesn't really matter where you're from anymore because you're affected at some point by the bigger scene.
I kind of hear that, but I also think about it as language. Like everyone's speaking English in the U.S., or most people are anyway. Let's say everybody is, but everybody still speaks like different dialects or has different accents, you know. And there's like standard American English, but how many people are actually speaking that?
Right.
And so much of that is going to depend on what part of the country you're from, what your heritage is, if you're an immigrant, if your parents are immigrants.
Right. Yeah, so you're kind of like saying like you're a product of your surroundings, right?
Yeah.
So let's say it this way, because this is where it kind of differs, because in Lindy Hop, I can be a dancer in Korea and follow this one dancer that lives in Canada, you know, like, and just follow them and then like just do what they do. So I can in turn kind of not create a new voice, but like just take a new voice and then make that my own. And that's what I feel a little bit more of. Like there's a lot more of like, it doesn't matter where you're from anymore. At some point you're going to see something and be like, I want to be like that.
Yeah. I think I hear what you're saying, whereas like, you know, if you're learning how to speak English, you're learning directly from the people that you're surrounded by.
Yeah.
Whereas with Lindy Hop, you can theoretically travel anywhere just via YouTube and learn from whoever you want to learn from.
Right. Exactly.
Like, you don't necessarily have that luxury when you're learning English.
Yeah, I feel like that a lot because like little known fact that I brought up Korea because like they say that they've been in like three modes, I think. Three different modes. The first mode was when Doug Silton brought the Lindy Hop out to Korea. Which is a funny thing because like Doug Silton is like he's a good dancer, he's a good guy, but at the same time it's like wow, like that was a long time ago. Like his teaching has evolved and like different things, and to be honest, like it's a very different way of doing the Lindy Hop, which isn't horrible, but it's fine. But then a lot of people used to dance like him because they would just like copy it. Another example of that is I can't remember who he's dancing with. I'm gonna say Elise. So it was Dax and Elise.
Oh yeah.
In Lithuania. Like when their scene was just starting to pop up, they brought Dax out, and he was one of the first teachers to go out there. And so like a bunch of teachers and dancers out there that have been doing it long enough dance and take his ideas and his style, and they kind of added it. In the last couple years, they've been kind of evolving past that to their own thing, which is great.
Yeah.
But at some point, like it's less about, I feel like, or rather, what you were saying a minute ago, it's like at some point when you just start learning it, you kind of learn it in whatever kind of culture or region of the world you're in as the same as everybody else. And then at some point you go past that and you start just copying what you see and what you like, which is natural for people. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But there has to be that third level where after you've copied, you find who you are as a person and a personality and what you want to bring to the dance. And you start doing your own thing, which transcends kind of regions and borders and parts of the world. And it just becomes, that's what I mean, like that subculture where Lindy Hop is just like your independent, free thinking voice that you can add to this dance.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting perspective because we've been talking about it as like a dialect or a regional style.
Yeah.
But if you think about it as like a perspective of an artist learning their own voice, then that totally negates everything that we've just said.
How so?
You know, like it doesn't matter if you have like a regional dialect or voice or style, because once you come into your own person as a dancer, all that kind of falls away. Because you create your own thing.
Yeah, yes and no. Like I see what you're getting at. I totally see what you're getting at. But like I think even at that point, when you get to a point where like you have your own voice, you remind yourself to like keep it simple, stupid. And keeping it simple is kind of like remember my roots, remember my own roots of how I started this. You know, like that's what I kind of feel about it. And here's something. So like I love that you took it into the more like the way of like an artist. So let's put it, for example, like someone who, oh man, his name is escaping. Diego Rivera, Frida and Diego
Rivera.
Yeah, him. So Diego Rivera, like I saw his exhibition. It was mainly about him, and then like his influence on Frida, and then there was another part as well that it became Frida and her influence on Diego. But I remember seeing his notebooks. This was in Italy, and I remember seeing his notebooks where he took classes. He took lessons on like how to draw, freehand draw, and how to sketch, and how to like find a method. And I think from those notebooks like came from his like big ideas, like his great murals and everything that he created, you know, where it tells a whole story or it tells a whole like lineage of a culture. Like it's you could see the starts of it or the beginnings of it in these notebooks, but also you can see him just like working on circles.
Yeah.
You know, and then like later notebooks, you'd see him again, still working on circles or working on shapes or working on ideas. And so that's where I feel like, when you find your own voice, there can be an extreme where like you don't even, look back to your past, but there could be a part that you constantly go back to and go through. And I think that's what, like, I really want to get at in this sense of like regional stuff or the whole, as it relates to the whole Lindy Hop scene around the world, is we kind of have these 3 levels. And right now, I think we're coming back down to the first level where it depends a lot more in the local scenes. Yeah. And it's just hard to see that level when you're a little more experienced and you only see it occasionally at festivals or events or whatnot. So I feel like the focus is back down again at making a good, huge base of first-time Lindy Hoppers, you know, like at local schools, at local dances, at local whatevers, you know, around the world. So we're going to see this surge again in the next, like, probably 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
Of it going back down to the local level?
No, of it going back up. So right now, I feel like we're at the local level. I feel right now we're at the local level. Like the past, like 2 or 3 years, I've been seeing a bunch of new dancers pop up. Like for instance, like before we popped on earlier, you kind of started to see the teacher's intro from Dragon Swing.
Oh yes.
Like I would say that's a whole crop of brand new dancers that are very talented, but also very fresh, very new to that level. You know, very new to that experience level of like getting gigs and like doing what they want with the dance. You know, starting to create their own voices. And I think that for me, when I was watching that, I was like, this is really cool. This is really great. I embrace that. And that's what I mean. Like those people in those last 2 or 3 years have been building up to that point. So that's why I'm saying like we're going back down to that first ground level feeling of it. But you know what? Like with I don't know what I was gonna say, so I'm just gonna keep clearing my throat.
Okay, cool. I have something to say, which is something that we had like touched on in the last podcast, but I just want to talk about like how there's like this mainstream style, and then there are people who have like a very clear voice, and like how as an artist do you, I mean, I feel like some of those people, are you doing a little eyebrow dance to me? I feel like some of those people don't get recognized for their creativity, even though they have a really unique voice. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you navigate like rewarding someone for being creative as opposed to rewarding someone who may look like everyone else? I don't know. I don't know how to like put what I'm saying into like good words.
Maybe how can you compare them? How do you compare someone, a dancer, follower or lead, that looks pretty straightforward, is wearing the suit, wearing the right shoes, wearing the right top, putting their hair in the right way, with someone else that's just kind of like, maybe not. Maybe they're just wearing jeans and shoe and just like Keds and like, you know, puts a little bit of stock into the way they look, but nothing like flashy. Yeah. How do you compare the two? And in their style of dance, like, do you compare it to like you said, mainstream, as in like, well, they're doing everything pretty good and they're doing all the tricks that are popular right now. And then how do you see someone that's just kind of like, you can see where they're going at, but it hasn't quite gotten there yet. It's really hard. Like at contests, my heart and soul wants to give it to this person that's trying something new and different. Yeah. But it's really hard for me because like in contests, what I value even just a little bit more than the creativity and the dariness to try something new is how well can you execute it. And if you can't execute the dance, like just for instance, just to keep it a swing out, if you can't execute a swing out and make it look and feel as fluid as it may seem from the outside, then you're not executing the dance just quite as good as I hope to be. And like maybe like in a contest atmosphere, in the social dance floor. And I've told you, and I've said it many times on this podcast, I love to just go out to a social dance or like at a festival or anything and just like watch the social dance floor and just like watch it like a hawk. Because I love seeing what people are doing. I love seeing that like, all right, cool. Like these guys are copying, especially leaders, right? Because being leader, I watch a ton of leaders. So I'm like,
Right.
I'm like watching leaders. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, they're copying this guy. Oh, they're copying that move. Oh, yeah, of course they're doing that.
Of course, that one.
And then I look over to someone else, and I'm just like, oh shit, they're just fucking doing whatever the hell they want. Like they're just doing. Oh shit. Well, that's weird. That's cool, but that's weird. Like I like that. That invigorates my soul to like want to like go out there and join them, or go out there and like see how it fits in my body. Like I still have that kind of adventurous feeling where I'm like, I'm never satisfied with exactly with the way I feel or the way I look. So I really want to evolve it.
Yeah.
And you know what's so funny? Like I got into an argument once, a dance argument with fucking Justin Zillman out in Orange County. And granted, he was a little bit loaded, and I was drinking a little bit too. But the thing is like we got into this whole idea of like how he felt like there's not a lot of creativity going out there. There's just a lot of people copying each other. And and then it got to a point where it got so heated that he's like, even you don't even dance like you used to. I'm like, yeah, I evolved. Is that wrong? He's like, but the old timers, they always did what they did. They never changed it. Even when they got older, they always changed it. I was like, but I'm not them. If I want to do a dance just like them, then I would just do it that way and never change. But I'm not satisfied like that. I don't live in their time. I am a different person. I live in a different world. I live in a different fucking time and state of being. So therefore, like, I'm allowed to change if I want to.
Yeah.
You know, don't let anybody else tell you that you should dance a certain way the rest of your life. It's like, okay, you found it. You know, like, just in general, old people, like senior citizens.
You know, old people. You know those guys.
Those guys that like, you know, do things that they're like
they're
old.
like old.
They're like,
and
you
have
know,
been around for like a long time.
Yeah, and they like oldly do things.
I so know those people. I so know those. I've like seen them out in the wild before.
And
it's crazy.
It's like sometimes they're just stuck in time and they don't change. Like they've been wearing the same
like
polo for 13
people,
years.
But they're
30,
like
40
way
years.
older. It's like so crazy.
It is. It is very crazy.
Seriously, it's like, oh my God. Like, why would you choose to be so old?
Tell me, Rachel, why would you choose to be so old?
I don't know. That's why I've had 6 plastic procedures done to make sure that I'm young forever.
Plastic procedures?
Plastic procedures where I can't move my face.
That's it. No more Cheerios before podcast anymore.
No more Cheerios.
I cry from my forehead.
I cry from my forehead.
But
sad.
you know what I'm saying? Like it comes a point like sometimes where just people just don't stop evolving, or they fear what comes behind them.
Yeah,
you know, like they like older people may fear what young people. I don't. Like I embrace it. Like if you're new, upcoming Lindy Hopper and you're doing something different, awesome. Do that.
That's what do you think that we can do to promote more like individuality?
Have a better state of mind that things are just different. Like we don't have to like agree on everything. We can even between me and you, like I may say something and you don't agree with, but the thing is like we can acknowledge that. It's because there's just two different ways of there's so many ways of thinking about this dance that I feel like if we just codify it, or if we're constantly kind of putting each other at odds, being like, you're doing this Lindy Hop stuff wrong, you should be doing it like this. It's like it's killing creativity. That's killing the idea that like that everything you're doing is wrong. You should come over here and learn it like this. This is real creativity. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, they're being pretty creative over there.
Yeah.
You know, like that. I mean, this is really great because this puts us into like what we were talking about before with like the Osa Heedman post that she posted a couple days ago. Yesterday, where she's just like, I don't understand why people are doing 8-count basics like this. I'm like, what's the idea of calling it a basic? Like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I mean, I can't speak for everybody in Lindy Hop scene, but everywhere I go, I'm pretty under the assumption that people are just saying basic because it's a really good term to say like basic. Okay, I know what a basic is in this class. You know, I don't think there's a lot of teachers out there. I'm not, again, I can't speak for the whole fucking Lindy Hop scene, but God damn it, I'm pretty sure everyone is under the assumption that like, hey, I don't agree with what you're doing, but like, as long as you do it and you're teaching beginners, and that's awesome. And we're furthering the scene and trying to evolve, you know?
Totally.
I think it's really good to help encourage that in the sense of like being real, being honest, and saying, yeah, that's different from what I'm doing. I may not agree with it, but go do your thing and I'll do my thing.
Do you think that there's too much codification?
I think people try.
Yeah.
I think people try, and then I think just like anything else, like it's stylish. It's like a fashion thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's a trend. People like what everyone else likes. Like we're not like sheep. It's not about that. It's just kind of like a bunch of people really like this person's or this couple's style of dancing. So they're going to go, cool, I got to kind of do that.
Yeah.
And then the next year it's this couple, and the next year it's this couple, or the next year it's this couple. There's actually this thing, and I don't know too much about it, but I've talked to enough boogie woogie dancers in Europe, where like the world championships that they have like world championships, and they have, I'm pretty sure they have it every year, but whenever they have it, the winning couple, the next year, almost all the couples competing again are copying moves off what they did. Like pretty much every year.
Really?
Every year, yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and I remember hearing it once that it was so like defined that like every year it would change, like you could see who won based off like what the people were doing. And then like it got to a point where like somebody won the world championship once of boogie woogie, and like not a lot of people actually liked the people that won, so they didn't copy them. They copied the year before, like that. So
That's
like
so weird.
so I mean, but that happens though. Like
Yeah.
I mean, today the closest thing I could think of is oh yeah, Devil Wears Prada. Like fucking Oscar worthy movie of all time.
What?
The Devil Wears Prada, the best movie of all time.
AKA the worst movie of all time?
Yeah, of course. Because you rolled your eyes at me a minute ago. I'm like, she heard me. You heard me.
I've never seen that movie.
It's no secret that I love me some rom-coms, and I also love me some of those like flicks that are generated for feelings.
Feeling flicks?
Feeling flicks. I like that better. So so the Devil Wears Prada, there's a part where like the main character Anne Hathaway is like talking to Glenn Close, and she's like, Anne Hathaway's like, she's laughing at this whole process of like taking a picture or like getting everything ready, getting everything just right. Just like, it's just a sweater.
Yeah.
And Glenn Close goes like, look at the sweater you're wearing. Your sweater is a cheap knockoff of what I put in my magazine 2 years ago. You got that probably last year after it went through this whole cycle and became this easy to get thing for the rest of the world. It's like we don't just do things to make it look nice. We do things to set trends that'll go and set waves after that. So I feel like every Lindy Hopper that is willing to put their stuff out there in a contest or in a performance or on YouTube in general, be ready to create waves. And you're gonna,
I like that.
And you're going to be somewhat responsible of what is put out there. So you better put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
And then if people copy you, it still is the best thing of I can't even say it. The best flattering thing you could do. I don't know, whatever the fuck it is. Whatever the saying is.
The best flattering thing.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, I so know.
Yeah. So
totally.
So I feel like it's just gonna happen no matter what. Like copying people is just gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So might as well give them something good to copy.
Oh totes.
Oh totes.
Totes.
But yeah.
Totes,
So I mean that's kind of like how we go into like boogie woogie and West Coast swing dancers and Savoy dancers, stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know what's really prominent in West Coast and boogie woogie is having mentors.
Really?
Yeah, and it's the only difference is in boogie woogie, they'll have dance mentors who aren't really good dancers, or sometimes aren't even dancers in general. And in West Coast,
like gymnastics coaches.
Exactly, like to a T. Like I've heard it very much so from the Swedish boogie teams. Where they have mentors that are like they teach the whole team in the same room where everybody's working on different things, but the mentor or coach will come around and just kind of like, yeah, that thing you did, If you change it to going the other side, I think it'll probably work better. Not only that, you're gonna like make it face the crowd. It's just like little notes like that.
Do you think that creates a lot of codifying though, or like
In
a lot of homogenizing?
in those, yes, because it's already generated to one sort of version of the dance. Like for
Yeah.
instance, just that idea of like facing the crowd. Like in West Coast, it's like it's a thing. Like you do it
Oh,
you do it in a
yeah.
line where if you're in open position and if you're a leader, your right side is facing towards the crowd, and if you're a follow, your left side is facing toward the crowd. Like you try to do everything thinking about that. And of course that makes for a better show. The majority of your audience is gonna be in front of you. So you want to make it where the best angle fits, and like also if you're in a contest, stuff like that. But for Boogie Woogie, it works a little better because there's not a strong influence of social dance. There's a stronger influence of contests. So in contests, if it's just like 80% of the dance is done in contests and 20% of it is done in social atmospheres, like a party,
Yeah.
then it makes sense. There's a codification of it. There's the fucking rules and regulations, and you have to do this, and you have to do 30 seconds of a move, and then like 2 minutes of your routine have to be like noticeable swing, which is what West Coast does.
Yeah. Do they not have a lot of social dancing in Boogie Woogie?
As far as I've understood it, not really. It's not. It's there. It's definitely there in every culture. The biggest boogie cultures are Scandinavian countries, Germany,
Okay.
France, Italy, and Russia.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so they have these big boogie scenes. And from what I've seen, what I've heard, and what I've talked to, is that it's there. There's always going to be a social scene for it, but it's not as big, and it's not pushed. Like in Lindy Hop, we say like, okay, now you're done with learning this class or this series of classes. Now go out there and dance. Like that's your practice,
Gotcha.
or that's
Yeah.
that's the test too. Go test
Yeah,
it out on
yeah.
the social dance floor and see what happens.
Yeah.
For them, it's more the test and everything is the contest.
Interesting.
But it's super interesting. But the thing is it wrong? I don't think so. It's just a different. It's just a
yeah.
different way of looking at a dance. Is it
I
still
mean,
an art
ballroom
form?
is like that too.
Yeah.
They're not going out social dancing nearly as much as they're just taking classes and performing and painting.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah. So it's that kind of same thing. Like, and West Coast really rides that line. People say it's the dark side. And I'm like, no, man, it's not the dark side. It's just another side.
It's
Like-
just another side of the rhombus.
Which one's a rhombus? The one it's like a drunk rectangle. Rectangle.
No, that's a parallelogram. The rhombus I think has I think a rhombus has 5 sides. I think it's like the corner has the top, or the top has the peak, and then the sides. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Everyone.
It
She just
looks
did
like
it with
a
her
house.
hands. She just did it with her hands in front of her face.
Looks like a house.
It's very funny, and she's still trying to do it with her hands.
Flat,
Yeah.
and then 2 perpendiculars, and then
Right. Rhombus.
the roof on top.
Rhombus.
I think that's
What
a
if I told
rhombus.
you were wrongus?
Oh, what if I told you you were rhombus? I'm so funny. I'm Mikey and I'm hilarious. Yuck.
I'm raising the roof.
Yuck.
I'm raising the roof over here.
Raising a rhombus roof over here. Yuck. Anyway,
Anyways, how much do you know about West Coast, Rachel? Just out of curiosity.
I went to a social dance once with West Coast dancing.
Yeah.
That was about it. I mean, I've watched like some videos,
Yeah.
but I really don't know much.
How do you feel like your view on it has changed at all over the years? Or do you feel like still like it's like not your thing, or do you respect it and you're still understanding like maybe not for me?
Yeah, I don't think it's for me, but I definitely respect it. Like the people at the top work so hard.
Yeah.
So hard.
I've seen them. They're fucking amazing.
They're
and I think
talented.
there's something in their culture that I really like, and one of it is the mentorship,
Yeah.
where they even the people at the top still have like somewhat of a coach or someone else to look at it. And
Yeah.
we had this team for a while where it was like Shaysha, Nikki, me, Jeremy, Laura, who else?
Adrian,
Adrian and Mary and
Nick,
Nick,
and
and that was it.
okay.
And even Joe for a while. She was in there for a little bit, but I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. We were never like super official, but whatever. The thing about it is like when we got that together, the greatest thing that came out of it is that it taught all of us to like help each other out in the sense of like in that sense of mentorship. And,
Yeah.
and to just maybe take it another way, instead of saying mentorship, like it maybe took it in the sense of like it really helps to have a second pair of eyes, an outside pair of eyes, a fresh pair of eyes, take a look at something that you're creating and give you some
Yes.
notes.
Yes.
There's a difference between like, hey, you shouldn't do that, or or that doesn't, nothing necessarily that has to be negative, but maybe something that has to be like, what are you going for here? Poking holes through the ideas of what they're trying to do. So
Yeah.
like for instance, like when I me and Joe came up with our routine a couple years ago, we showed it to a couple people for feedback. One of them was Kevin, and Kevin is actually one of the best, like honestly, persons in the dance scene today that can give a non-biased and a really good feedback session to almost any Lindy Hopper. And what he said was like he started to go into his notes, and then he's like, wait, he stopped himself. He's like, first off, are you guys trying to win, or are you guys trying to do something different and for yourselves? And I was like, different and
Yeah.
for ourselves. And he's like, that's perfect. Then in that case, like the only note that I can give you is get rid of the sections where you think you have to do Lindy Hop.
Yeah.
You know, like you think you have to do this thing. In reality, you don't. You have to do what feels right for you. And I feel like that's what's really starting to be pushed forward now. It's like, do what I say it, like be weird, like make Lindy Hop weird again or strange again or whatever, but like push forward in the sense of like what you want it to be, and make that come to life.
I mean, that's a good point, and a lot of different like areas of art do that. Like they do that at the Upright Citizens Brigade all the time. There's these people who are basically like professional improvisers who are on house teams, and they still have mentors and people watching them practice and leading their practices and like guiding them through to help them be funnier and find the jokes more, And that's something that I've always wished that I had, was a mentor, like somebody to watch me regularly and like help guide me and like help me see the stuff that I can't see in my own dancing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right. I mean, even in the sense, I think we're our own worst enemies when it comes to having that, because I feel like for a long time, and I've been trying to say this, trying to change the mentality, especially here in Madrid, because I've been able to teach now for 2 years here almost straight, and tell people that like, let me start over. They used to tell people in classes, I remember I used to be in like, don't give feedback.
Yeah.
Don't, like, because they were too afraid of hurting people's feelings in the class. And so there's like no feedback at all, positive or negative, whatever, and now I'm like, and that was a while back ago, like for sure. But now I feel like more and more, and even the whole culture of Lindy Hop is moving towards this. I think is more of this kind of like, well, if we're going to be a friendly atmosphere, we can be friendly and give good feedback. If something doesn't feel right, then you should be able to say it out loud, whether you're a lead or a follow.
Safe spaces.
Yeah, right. I mean, like it's as long as you present it good. I mean, like, ow is a good thing if it really hurts, right? Or like, hey, you did this one thing, I don't feel the energy pushing me forward, or hey, you're grabbing my hand too hard, or like let's play with this. It's not just like you need to fix this. I feel like the positive way of doing anything is like, how can we both come to this really good what's the compromise? So it's like maybe it's not just a little bit of you, rather maybe it's not just the problem is with you, the problem is both of us are connecting differently, so we need to kind of adjust it to each other.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like stuff like that I feel like, I don't know if that's homogenous anymore. Maybe it's just growth, maybe it's an evolution, because I feel like I'm seeing that more and more, and like maybe the dance is becoming a little more like close together everywhere you go, but is that really a bad thing?
I don't know.
Like for me, I used to think of it like when like a glass ceiling,
Yeah.
You know, like everyone can see past it, but no one could get just past it. And I feel like that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And now people are busting past that again. Like I look back in like that Dragon Swing intro for the teachers, like there's a bunch of new people in there that have just been working their asses off, trying to like create or cultivate their own expression in the dance. And now they're just seeing the fruits of their labor now. So like it takes time, you know? What do you think that you can do, you yourself can do to encourage people to be more of their own independent or most free dancer that they can be?
I mean, from a teaching perspective.
From every perspective, whatever you feel like.
Oh, I know. I'm saying first
okay.
from a teaching perspective.
Good. I'm glad we got that clear. From a teaching perspective.
From a teaching perspective.
Right. So the teaching perspective, got it.
Right. When I'm teaching.
Right. So the perspective of which you're teaching.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
Got it.
I feel like I always try to promote individuality. Individuality. Words.
Individuality.
Yes. Because I personally don't like creating robots or like a Lindy Hop army. That's so not my vibe. And so I want people to dance how they feel, and like everybody's bodies are built differently and everybody's going to move differently.
Yeah.
And so I think that people should embrace that and use those things to their advantage. So I try to stress that. And from a regular social dancer perspective, I feel like I'm already pretty different from most of the dancers in LA just because I've grown up in a different dance scene. So I just try to be myself, and I just try to, I don't know. I mean, I'm just like being me on the social dance floor, and if people feel inspired by that, then that's really awesome. Yeah. If they don't feel inspired by it or they feel critical of me, then like there's nothing that I can do to change their minds, especially if they're not going to approach me and be like, what you do is shit, you know?
Or could you? You know, I'm sorry. I know that sounded stupid, but I was like, because I thought in my head.
I don't know. What do you mean?
I mean, create the atmosphere that you want, but maybe sometimes it doesn't need to be so direct. Like as like, I feel like, and maybe this is just because like I could see past any kind of bullshit and drama or politics that a scene might have, but I can see what you're trying to say when you dance, when I watch you dance, and when I dance with you for sure. But like, I see it because I see sort of myself in there. It's like I have this idea. Let me try it. Okay, it didn't work. Okay, no problem. Next idea. Okay, cool. Okay, here I can maybe try my idea again. Okay, cool. It worked a little better. Not exactly how I wanted it, but still good. All right, cool. Moving on. Oh, dance is over. Great. That was great. Okay, moving on. Like
Internal monologues of Rachel Dollenberg.
and Mikey
and Mikey
too. Like because like that's how I feel about it sometimes. And like,
oh my god,
does that make the cleanest dancer? Like I said, kind of like at the top of this, like does it make the cleanest? No, but who cares? Like
well,
I'm not trying to be the cleanest dancer.
And I think that's the thing. Like I've been doing a lot of thinking about my own dancing recently, and I've been trying to like really just do me in my dancing instead of being like, oh, I'm going to be so pristine and graceful, or oh, I'm going to be so this, or oh, I'm going to be so like those things are like good exercises for me to work on, but that's not who I am at the end of the day. And if that style is not popular to other people, then I can't concern myself with that. Because like at this point I'm doing it for fun, and I'm going to express myself how I'm going to express myself, and if people don't like me for who I am, then you know, that's not my problem, I guess.
Yeah. 100%. It's not. It's like at some point you can't care. You can only care about what you want to do, and at some point you have to kind of like put these all things. That's why I said like again like at the top of this, like I was saying like that. I'm just giving it a way to imagine it, but like that kind of like that upper level of experience when you get to a point where you're just like, I'm free. I could be creating anything I want. And like you find your own voice. Like I feel like when you get there, like you stop paying attention to like everybody around you and you just start paying attention to what you want to do.
Yeah.
And your voice becomes so strong because it's basically not has anything to do with anybody else around you. It just has to do with what you feel and how you see and perceive the dance. And maybe, luckily, you'll find other people that like can envision the dance the same way you do. You know?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. It's like you want to create your own atmosphere almost, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then people are drawn to, like, in a contest. And we joked about this before. Like in a contest, like I feel like I don't even want to acknowledge the crowd. I'm so hyper aware of that now. When I watch like YouTube clips or of other dance contests or whatnot, or something is going out there, I'm like, why are you looking at the crowd? What do you need from them? What are they giving you that they're not already doing without you having to look at them? You know, it's like, do you expect more? Do you want love? Do you want them to throw you roses? Do you want them to throw you underwears? Like, I don't know what you're expecting.
Throw me underwears, please.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just one of those strange things where I'm just like, do you focus on your partner, leader to follow to leader, everything, whatever. Just stop looking at the crowd,
people do that because they're trying to engage the audience. Like they want to be engaging, you know?
Yeah, but you don't see that in movies, and it engages the shit out of millions and billions of people.
That's true. But I mean, I think actually a better example of that would be you don't see that on Broadway or you don't see that in theater.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit.
Because it's a live performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like movies are not.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. That's what I don't know. But
I think there's something to be said about allowing the audience to be a little bit more drawn in by you by engaging directly with them, breaking the fourth wall, if you will. But at the same time, like, I mean, I think it just depends on how you're looking at it. Like, are you doing a teacher's demo? Are you doing a choreographed performance? Are you competing and just throwing down and having a ball? Like, what are you doing? And that may be a better way to dictate whether or not you're going to look at the audience or not.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're doing a performance,
no, I like that idea.
When
make
you
it
and
make
Joe
sense.
were doing your performance, like that was a very artistic thing for you guys to do, and it wouldn't have made sense for you to look at the audience while you're swinging out or doing whatever. But in a teacher's demo, when you're like having fun and it's for the students, like that's a great time to look at the students or to look at the audience.
I agree with your underlying sentiment. I don't agree with that last part, but I do agree with it. It's like choose the times. There's times.
There are times.
Yeah.
I mean and maybe a teacher's demo isn't like the best example. I'm only using that example because we just watched that video from.
Right. No, I totally get you.
Dragon!
I totally get you. But the thing is, here's the thing. Like, yeah. That fucking I gotta say it. That fucking dragon swing logo. Yeah, with the fire and everything, and the like the lens flare.
Kind of looks like the Hunger Games.
It looks like the Hunger Games. Yeah, it totally does. And it looks to me, it looks like porn. It looks like dp.com, digitalproductions.com, and it just looks like the same
Mikey's
thing.
Mikey's watching late at night. Winky, winky.
Middle of the day. Okay, so
middle of the day. Come on, you guys. I'm riding the subway. Open my laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not an animal. Jeez. Okay. So
I would never watch that on my phone.
How dare you? Need a full.
It takes up way too much data.
15 inches of screen. Yeah.
Anyway.
But I mean, I feel like this question is such a loaded question. There's multiple layers to this question. Yeah. How does our dance style relate to other dance styles? Are they homogenized? Yes and no. Like it is and it isn't. But it doesn't really help to compare it to other dances. You know, can you speak on the regional accents of Lindy Hop? Yeah, There is, but at some point you don't care about it anymore. You know, this regional doesn't really matter. It just matters about your voice that you want to bring to the dance scene.
Totally.
And then how much can we encourage it? You know, like at some point, like use your voice. If people are going to listen to you, use your voice for hopefully something good to encourage other people to be creative or go through this process or practice a lot or go social dancing. Tell them your theories of how you got there to be so experienced and knowledgeable and feel the dance the way you do, and then set them off into the world. Like see if they can recreate it or create something of their own, that's what basically the options are.
Options.
So David Lee, if you're listening,
thanks, David.
Thank you so much. He is. I want to speak on him just a little bit. He's a badass, man. He is a
badass.
To me, he is one of the most exciting dancers, whether it be Lindy Hop or Balboa, to watch. Like, and also, forgive me for saying this, but like he nerds out so hard on the dance. Like he thinks about it like night and day, it feels like. And I could talk to him for like an hour or two or a couple hours and like, fuck, man, it's just so good. We get to so many different things. And then I see him dance, and then it doesn't even look like he's thinking about that. It looks like he's just feeling. Yeah. It's such a cool thing to see. It's like he's really using his right brain and left brain and knowing when to turn them on and off. Like it inspires the shit out of me. So David,
right
get in
switch, left switch, right switch, left switch.
Right. I'm Randy Newman. Yeah. So he's badass. Also, he has the cutest kid ever.
So cute.
So cute.
Should we move on to the question of the day, of the week? I always call it the question of the day, but it's actually the question of the week.
I can't remember what I call it, but what should we call it? What officially? Question of the day, question of the week?
Question of the week.
Question of the week.
The question of the week. It's from Steve Juan.
Oh, Steve. How you doing out there, man? Stop thinking. Stop thinking, Steve. Steve, whatever you're doing, stop it. Unless you're driving a car, just continue driving. Stop thinking.
So he wrote a question, and then he wrote like a really long paragraph to explain his question. But I'm just going to read the question, and then we can kind of dive in from there.
Let's do that.
The question is, as you get advanced, what are the roles and responsibilities of a lead and follow? And when I first read this question, Mikey said, I don't think they change.
Yes, this is true. This is true. It was like, I'm pretty sure the roles and responsibilities have always been the same.
They've always been the same.
But then you brought up this really, really great way of thinking about it. Do you remember what it was?
Yes. So I said it's kind of like let's take the analogy of sharing. When you are in kindergarten, you are taught that sharing is caring. You should always share. Sharing's the best thing in the world, right?
See.
And then when you get a little bit older, it's like sharing is super good, but you don't always have to share. Like sometimes you can keep something for yourself.
See.
And then you get a little bit older, and it's like, really, you can keep a lot of things to yourself and only share some things. And then as an adult, you're like, I get to choose when and where I share. And when I do it, it's going to have some meaning behind it. Mm-hmm. I think the same thing with Lindy Hop. Like you have to learn the rules of Lindy Hop before you can learn the exceptions to the rule, you know?
Or the bending exceptions. Yeah, exceptions is a better way of saying it. You're right.
Yeah. And so, like, for me, I mean, when you're like beginning and intermediate and even as like a more advanced dancer, like you're learning a lot of like the basics, like steps, how to lead, how to follow, how to do moves, how to keep time, you know, how to dance a little bit cleaner, how to communicate with your partner, how to transition from Lindy Hop to Charleston. And then as you get a lot more advanced, it's more about like finding your voice, learning how to have a conversation with your partner. It becomes a lot less about like the leader leads this and the follow follows this. It's more of like, this is this is just kind of the move that is being created by our movements right now. This is the sequence of things that we're doing just by nature of like whatever variation you just did or whatever styling I just did. It's not, there's a lot less structure and there's a lot more listening and communicating between one another.
Yes. I think you fucking nailed it. Like, I can't say it any better. Yeah. You.
Hot kick, pachow, pachow, pachow.
One more kick.
Pachow.
For everybody not looking at Rachel right now, she's kicking in her flannel PJs.
I've got my jammies on.
But honestly, Rachel, like, you really did. Like, I saw it as a very, very surface level question, and you dug so deep into it, you made me see it in a completely different way. So,
you're welcome.
Like, that is, I mean, you are welcome, America.
You are welcome, America.
And
alrighty, Rosies.
And it's
we gonna hit this question right on the head like a nail. With a hammer.
And it's because I'm just waiting for you to interrupt me again one more time with
I'm
Bubba's
done.
voice. Oh, okay.
Woohoo!
There we go. There's Bubba.
Yeehaw!
Yeah. So Rachel, like, everybody that listened to that, like, go ahead and just rewind it an extra, what is that? Like 5 or 8 minutes, and listen to Rachel speak again, because that is the perfect example of like a good structure of how to view your dancing. The only thing I would like to add into it as a leader is, I think when you get to some point, it's your responsibility to lead something and almost take that for 100% what that means. Not to say you should always do that, but I think it's like, it's an option. It's an option.
Yeah.
Be like, instead of looking at your follow and being like, well, maybe they're better than me, or maybe they do this thing better than me. They look better. They feel better. Whatever. It's maybe it's because of I grew up in Southern California, where it's like you fake it till you make it, you know?
Hello.
Yeah. As a leader, like, I'm just gonna, like, I have an idea. I don't know it 100%, but I'm gonna, like, you know, like, I'm gonna fake it, and I'm gonna really try this best thing to see what happens. Yeah. And it's sometimes you have to be daring, and this is not only to Steve, this is to everybody listening to, like, it's like, just dare to be weird and dare to try things that maybe don't always conventionally work. That doesn't mean that you're wrong. That just means that you found one way. It's like the old Edison quote. I don't think he ever said it, actually, but it's really fun to say. You know, it's like, after 10,000 tries of trying to invent the light bulb, the one that worked, right? And he's like, what did you learn? It's like 10,000 ways how not to make the light bulb.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I don't think he actually said that, by the way, but I still like, it's a good story.
I mean,
but that's what I mean to leads. Like, just like find a way, and maybe you might find something that really, really works, but you may find 10,000 ways how it doesn't work. And that's good too. That's good to know. Like, you get the experience. Yeah. Don't expect a teacher to give you all the answers. At some point, just like life, you have to go out there and experience it yourself.
Yeah. I mean, there is this one section here of his explanation that I kind of wanted to touch on.
See?
He says, am I a bad lead if I don't entertain the follow? Okay, let's say I'm dancing with an advanced follow. We've both heard the song literally more than 200 times already. I know there's a cool rhythmic variation and break that's coming at the end of the phrase, and I know she does too and can probably interpret or express it better than I can. Sometimes I may leave something more open-ended for the last 8 counts of the phrase. So am I leaving a sweet opening, or is it just lazy, shirking my responsibilities as a lead to come up with something interesting and lead it? And I think, oh no.
Well, I was gonna say, it's like that kind of goes along with it. It's like, just continue leading, because if you drop it for eight counts, then not you or your partner isn't gonna have anything to work with.
Exactly. If you keep leading it, your follow will be able to do something really awesome.
Yeah.
From what you're doing. But they need you to initiate the movement so that they can do it. If you just drop it and you're like, okay, you do you now, it's like you guys have been like, you know.
It's like you're saying, like, I got nothing. Shine the spotlight on her.
Yes.
Yeah, and going, I got nothing either. Like, Being put on the spot,
Yeah.
no one likes that. So that's what it kind of feels like when you kind of like, now go.
Yeah, it is very much being put on the spot.
Yeah.
And they teach us in improv to not do that.
Right.
Like, don't be like, oh, I don't know what to do. You go.
Yeah.
Because then the other person's like, well, I don't even know what's going on over here.
Or even
know?
like I've seen it many times now, and like I've been watching a couple of improv stuff on YouTube where it seems like someone gets stuck or can't remember what they just said, and then someone on stage helps them out and goes, right, you remember that thing you were just talking about, that thing that you have in your hand, what are you doing right now?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Let me just do it for you. Like, like it gets to a point where it's like the joke becomes that you can't remember. I mean, that's improv anyways. But like, it's still, you're helping each other out by giving yourself, remembering where you are, giving yourself that structure. Luckily in the dance, we have that structure, a swing out, an 8 count, a 6 count. Like it's so good to return to.
And I think like what makes a really good dance is when the two people can feed off of each other throughout the dance. And so if you just drop what you're doing, you're not giving anything for your partner to feed off of anymore. You're cutting off their oxygen.
Yeah.
And they're just treading water until you're like, okay, let's go again.
So sorry to like spotlight you, Steve, but like maybe the best thing to do is like either do something really simple in those 8 counts instead of just kind of leave it open-ended, or do something incredibly simple, but it's still out of the norm of doing a 6 or 8 count rock steps or triple steps or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy for us to say because I feel like me and Rachel are both so well experienced in being naturally weird that for other people it has to be a little bit of work. But for us, we could put makeup on as though it's the top of our microphone.
I'm pretending my microphone is lipstick, and I'm just smearing it all over my lips.
Like this right here. Like, oh my god, I'm so pretty. I'm so pretty.
One time I was doing that with pudding when I was a kid.
Just one time? Let's be honest. Not just one time.
Yeah, because my mom got really mad at me. And that was, I don't know if I want to share the rest of it because I've told this story before, and some people think it's funny, and some people are like, "That's not right." I'll just say now. She was like, she must have been already really grouchy or something, and she saw me like smearing it all over my face. And so she came and scooped it up in her hand and smeared it across my face.
That's so fucking awesome. That's awesome. That's what I'm going to do with my kids. I'm like, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it too then.
I never did it again.
Never did it again. Tell me like you cried or something. You're like, meh.
Oh, I cried so hard after that. I was like, I'm so stupid.
Oh my god!
Sad.
If I was your mom, I would crack my shit up, pull my phone out, and start taking pictures.
Well, yeah, I feel like that's what I would have done too. I mean, like this was before the age of cell phones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. But that's hilarious. I like your mom already.
Oh god.
Is it? Never mind. Not going to bring that up. So anyways, Steve, thank you so much for your questions. You've definitely been very active on our board and on Facebook, and we'd like to thank you for that.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah. Make sure to go up to Rachel next time and tell her all your thoughts on dancing, because I'm pretty sure she'd want to hear that.
Okay.
Moving on. What's your bright side for this week, Rachel?
Oh, my bright side is we touched on a lot of stuff earlier, and I thought of a bright side really early on, and now I can't remember what it was. But I really like what I said about
smearing the pudding on your face. Yeah.
The roles and responsibilities of leaders and followers. I mean, I think about that all the time when I'm dancing with somebody. Right. Like at what level am I communicating with this person? Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. As in, like it's like one of your rules or responsibilities. I say it all the time, like as a checklist.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a checklist. At some point, like it's hard to think about all the things you want to do, and also think about not thinking about it you know?
Totally.
So it's like if you make some sort of checklist in your head and just be like, I got through 2 out of 10,000. Not bad for this dance.
Yeah.
You know? And
Totally.
and that's really good. It's like as long as you can get to that level of like, okay, I'm going to do this, and you feel like you did it during one dance, I feel like that's a good thing. So I agree with you. My bright side would be fucking fake it till you make it.
Oh, old LA, old Hollywood, right there for you.
Old Hollywood, and along with that, I just want to say like out loud for anybody who's listening to this, I'm sorry, but there is no right way to do this fucking dance. And if you think that is, great, but I really, really, really disagree. There is no one way to do this dance. As you can see nowadays, this dance is much more popular than it was when it first started, which means we are evolving, which means we are growing, which means there's going to be more people bringing in their thoughts, bringing in their life experiences, and it's not going to stop here. So if you keep fighting the idea of change, you're just going to spend your time fighting than you are going to dance. If you have a chance to use your voice, use it for that. Get your point across.
Yeah.
But also understand there might be someone else doing the opposite somewhere else in the world.
Ride the wave.
Yeah.
Ride the wave.
Fucking
Oh,
ride the
that's
wave.
what my bright side was. You said create waves.
Yeah.
That's what you said. Create waves.
Yeah, like
that's create waves with your own voice.
Exactly.
That's,
if you got
that's what my bright
if
side
you got
was.
any bit of like people that like to watch you dance, or people that like to take your classes, or people that like to just hang out with you, you have a voice of ready to go, and so be ready to create waves.
Yeah. Totally.
So this has been a really, really good episode. I must say, Rachel brought forward this kind of idea of
I must really pat myself on the back for this one. I've really outdone myself here.
Actually, I was gonna pat you on the back, you son of a bitch.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I really was. I was gonna say, I was like, Rachel really brought up the fact that we can like fine tune it better, and being a good like listener, I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's try that.
Because I'm so awesome, I accepted her suggestion and agreed to try it out.
Look, I said I'm gonna pat you in the back. It's only because I'm a very good patter of backers.
Because I do so much patting of my own back.
Nailed it.
Exactly. Exactly. Mikey, you are my second favorite Lindy Hopper in the whole world.
Rachel, you're like my eighth,
only behind
or ninth?
myself. Only behind myself.
I like that. I like that joke better. That was a better joke. So we've spent about, let's say, 7 hours on
9 to 4.
Yeah.
We've been Skyping for 7 hours now.
It's 7 hours. So this has been really worth it. I think we might try this again sometime, because like I feel like with our first podcast, I was really good, but then we tried to fine tune it on this one, and I feel like this one came out really good.
Yeah, came out so good.
Yeah, and I think in the future we're just gonna, as soon as we start FaceTiming, we're just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then
click,
and then just catch whatever happens.
Yeah.
We're gonna cast our nets into the ocean of this FaceTiming period, and we're gonna see what we catch.
So artistic of
you. We may catch some salmon. We may catch some
salmon.
We might catch some mermaidia.
Mermaidia.
Or we might catch a fucking manatee. Either way, we're gonna throw it back.
Aw, manatee.
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 Or baby belugas.
Oh, baby belugas. Winky. Okay, you guys, we're out of here.
Yeah,
we'll
you know where to find us on the Facebook,
You know
SoundCloud, and iTunes, and all that bullshit. If you're listening to us already, then you probably know where to go. So thank you guys very much. This is all of us saying bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. 1, 2, 3,